Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. Doing a lot of content here as we're getting ready to start the season. Some places have already started. I believe 0 week in Georgia was last week as I record this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. It's Thursday, August 22nd in the year 2024. For those of y'all listening in the future, come visit me in the old coach's home. Unless it's 100 years in the future. In that case, come visit me. You know where I'll be. So I'm trying to do things, coaches, that can help you out here at the start of the season. And one of the things I've been asked about, the sample practice schedule was real popular. And I had several emails saying, hey, do you have any call sheets? So I went looking for call sheets on my computer, and I found a couple of old ones. And I found several hard copies. And I kind of threw them together in a mishmash just so you can kind of see. And I'm also went ahead and created another Excel spreadsheet like the sample practice schedule. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. And if you're already a subscriber, you don't have to. And hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com to get your copy of the call sheet and what I put on the back of my call sheet, my scripts, and all kind of other info that I'm going to show you in here today. Hey, before we get rolling, remember, here's an opportunity to support old Coach Chip. I've had a couple the past week. Went over there, buymeacoffee.com. And guys, for crying out loud, I'm doing it for free. Click on the thumbs up button here on the channel. Go to buymeacoffee.com and look at it as a gratuity, a tip even. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. Just keep right on listening. It's going to keep right on being free until there ain't no more me. So be sure to go over to the podcast on Apple and Spotify, and I believe other podcatchers, and check out some of the content over there. Of course, that's an audio medium, and it's just conversations with coaches and conversations with football people. So go to Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support the podcast and the video channel, and be sure to share the channel with all the coaches in your life. And there you see where to find it. If you have an idea for a video or a podcast guest, hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. A lot of the content that I create on the YouTube channel here is actually from coaches, not necessarily emailing me and saying, hey, here's a good idea, but emailing me and asking me questions. And I said, oh, that'd make a good one. Then I do all the research, and I go back and I find video, if there's any video available that I have my hands on. By the way, send me your video now that the season started. You can email it to me, and I can put it on my quick cut. But anyway, hit me up. I want to talk to you. I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me podcast ideas, and just ask me questions, and that's good stuff. All right, the summer freebie is starting to wind down. Of course, it'll always be free, but I just won't talk about it a lot. But the sample practice schedule, it's based on a 3-day work week. It's got 1 platoon and 2 platoon samples. It tells you how you can run your practice in an orderly fashion so you're not wasting your time, your assistant's time, your kids' time, and, of course, the parents who have to pick these youngins up if you're coaching sub-varsity ball. But it's just a great way to do it. And it's set up for my stuff, the stuff that we did. But it's a Excel file. So you just go into it and delete my stuff and just plug your stuff in. All right, don't forget, Jet Manual's out, been going really well. Defense coordinators, be warned. Going to be a lot of Jet this season. The orders for the Jet Manual are any indication. The OL Manual for gap scheme blocking, still going like crazy. These 2 resources are available from Football Talk with Coach Chip. Just hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com, and you have to come off a few shekels, but not much when you compare it to what other resources may cost. And just remember all the freebies. All right, let's talk about sample call sheet And again, I took screenshots of different segments of it. The whole thing's on here. But after you get through watching the video, hit me up. Email's right down here at the bottom. Contact me at siegel.chip@gmail.com and show me you're a subscriber by just taking a screenshot where you subscribed. I know you can unsubscribe as soon as you, but why would you do that? I mean, it doesn't cost anything. And I will send you the sample call sheet and the script. They're in the same file. And what I did, I always have my call sheet on front and my scripts on the back, along with some other info like 2-point conversion chart, taking a knee at the end of the game, how many timeouts, stuff like that. I'll show you when we get to it. What I like to do with my call sheet at the very top on what I call the front of it is I do like a defensive hitch chart and I used to have it by the holes. When I was a wing T guy, it was like 1 through 9. You number in the wing, wing T, you number the butts of the guys on the line from end to end. And that's the way I did it for years. And so when we got away from sure enough wing T and started doing the hybrid stuff and eventually went into a gun version of wing T, I got away from that and just had outside right, outside left, off tackle right, inside left, inside right. And I've got all the plays. No, we didn't run all these plays at one time. Okay. Again, this is a sample, and you go in, it'd be just like the practice schedule. You take my stuff out, put your stuff in, because once you get it, it's yours. But it's already set up for you in a template, and I leave my stuff on there just so you can see it. And if you want to, you can copy and paste, and I always refer back to mine as, just like I said, a template or an outline. And I didn't fill it in completely. There'll be other parts of it on here where you'll see a lot of blanks, just because I was just trying to give you an idea of what it looked like. Now, some guys do it totally different, but this system that I'm giving you is what worked for me. Eventually, I hardly ever look at this part of the call sheet unless I find a honey hole. Let's just say off tackle right is good to us. Well, instead of lining up and running power, come back and run counter. Give them a different look, but hit the same hole, if that makes sense. Come back and run buck, hit the same hole. We weren't a big wide zone team for years, but I put it on there because it is an off tackle play. People say, no, that's an outside play. No, it can bounce outside, but it's off tackle. If you don't believe it, just go back and look at some Alex Gibbs stuff on YouTube. And just keep hitting that same hole. You find it, and you say, well, you can't do that, coach. Yeah, you can. High school football, sub-varsity football, yeah, you can. You find a honey hole, that's like when I go fishing. I find a place where the fish are biting, I'm going to go there until the fish quit biting. And while I'm there, I'm going to keep throwing my hook in that spot until they quit biting. So if I find a place that's good, we're going to keep hammering it. If you don't want to run the same play over and over again, just run plays that go to that spot on the line. And that's where this comes in handy until they decide they want to make a difference, make a change. The defense, that is, keep hitting it. Also, you'll notice I've got my smoke and bubble screen. Smoke is what I call the fast screen to the widest receiver, the one that can't bubble because he's already out there already almost at the sideline. And that's your number one receiver, smoke one. And then I got bubble to number two. And our bubble's a little bit different, but I'm not going to get into that. But I consider those extensions of the run game. Those are our toss sweeps. We didn't run jet, sweep, and the smokes and bubbles all at the same time a lot. But I put them on here so you could see. All right, this is the same page, front of the call sheet. Got the passing game. Got my rollout left over here, my rollout right over here. Now, they can do more or less. It depends on what you want to do. And we didn't run all these passes and all these play actions. Again, this is a sample. See up there at the top, sample call sheet. I'm not saying you need to carry all this. Folks can say, well, Mike Leach just used it looked like a receipt. Yeah, I know. Mike Leach was a friggin' genius. Even back in the day when we ran very simple stuff, I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago, I had a card, an index card, back before the advent of the computers and all that kind of stuff where you just print it up. And I would write it on there because I would forget stuff, y'all. I mean, it'd be my offense or my defense. And then you don't want to be that guy. You're riding home after the game and you go, and it's like, wow, I could have had a V8 moment, and you face palm, realizing you just screwed the pooch because you didn't want to have a call sheet. You thought it was, somebody trying to be high and mighty, having that call sheet attached to their belt. I don't care what people think. I've told y'all this before. I'm about being successful. And if I've got to have it written down, and it's not like what you think. Again, this is a lot of stuff on here. We didn't run all this, but my call sheet was pretty big. Why? Because we only ran 4 run plays, but that's 4 to the left, 4 to the right, and then all the different formations. We only had a handful of passes. You run them left, you run them right, and you got them out of different formations. I had all that on the call sheet so I wouldn't forget. I'll show you the script thing in a minute, my philosophy on scripting in just a little bit. Now, down here you may see pass tags. What do you mean by that, Coach? Hot, cop, notice the C and the P are capitalized. Wheel, go, notice the G-O is capitalized. Here's what it is. Let's say we're running jet pass. The H always runs an out, somewhere between 6 to 10 yards. It depends. Game plan preparation, kid, stuff like that. But at 6 to 10, it's flat route. He runs an out. That's his default. It's on his wristband. If we use wristbands, and if we don't use wristbands, he knows I run an out on jet pass. And we always ran the jet pass to the H because the Z is our jetter. Well, if we would just say hot, that told the H, he's running a hot. He's running right down the seam. Quarterback knows that when we tag a pass, the tag becomes number 1 progression. It may have been he was told to look at this normally on the jet pass, but when we say hot, he knows right now H is hot. That means the safety must be coming like crazy to the jet, so-called jet pass with a hot, and hit that joker, make your jet fake, and hit that joker hot, almost like an old tight end pop pass or dump pass, whatever you want to call it. The cop is something we do, and you say, how do you get the information to them? In different ways. You just call their name out and say hot. Tell the quarterback, say H hot, H hot, H hot. Or you have signals for it. We had some signals. The cop was really good. We used it a lot on smash, on our cruise, which is a smash concept with a high-low on the side over there. And what the cop is when you're playing a too-high team and the play side safety is cheating the corner route that you run on a smash concept. Now you're going to fake the corner and go post. We call it a cop route. Corner, post, C-O-P. It was real easy. All you do is get the quarterback and Z's attention. We put our hands together like we were handcuffed. And that's the only thing we could think of for cop. And that told him, and I've got video here on the channel of us scoring a touchdown on our play action pass running the cop. And all it is, and it's not built into it, into the base play, it's a tag. Wheel, almost anything like this, like the jet pass, we mentioned it earlier. We call wheel. The guy on the out now knows he's got a wheel. And the outside guy knows I've got to either take off or run a post. What's go? Get open. And it's real simple. What is a read route? We tell the wide receivers, usually the number ones, the widest receivers, get open. And that don't mean just run around and go crazy. It means you're running a vertical. If the guy on you is bailing, and by the time you get to about 8, 9, 10 yards and he's taking off getting deep because he's afraid of getting burned deep, you curl it up. When you get to 8, 9, 10 yards, if you're even with that joker, like they say, if I'm even, I'm leaving. That's what that means. And those are to remind me. This is the bottom of the front of the call sheet. And we get into the opening series of the game. A lot of guys like to do 10, 12, 15 plays. I like to do a series of scripts. And on the back side is where I got all my scripts, and I'll show that to you. And I'll explain more about scripting then. And you got my script here for my big cat. That's when we load it up, put like D linemen in the backfield for blockers. This Afros right here, I always get a lot of questions about it. And this is a combination of a couple of places, but I left it in there because it's a cool story. When we had a 2x2 package where we take our H out and put another Z-type kid in there, a slot-type kid. So now we've got 4 sure enough wide receivers. It's like true, spread gun stuff now. So we got to have a name for it. Some people call it rabbit. Some people call it cheetah. Some, whatever, something fast when you have that package. Well, this several years ago when we had this, when we went to this, it was getting the afros were popular again, and all of our receivers had those puffy afros, not the great big giant ones like when I was a kid in the 70s, like a classic Dr. J fro, not like that, but it was about 8, 9, 10 years ago, and the fro was back a little bit, especially at the school I was at. And one of the boys said, "Hey, coach, let's call it afro since we've all got afros." I went, "Cool." Well, I'm always trying to come up with cool little, word plays and stuff like that. And I had remembered that Texas Tech had called their receivers the afros, and it stood for America's Finest Receivers on Saturday. And so I said, "Cool, y'all are the afros. Alabama's Finest Receivers on sod." Of course, they ate that up, except for the ones that asked me what is sod. And that's why it's called, that's the afro set. Now, there's several things. You'll see color-coded stuff on the next slide, that how I know what group is in or what group needs to be in for this play. Whether it be the regular group, which is like the power group with the H, the really heavy group, the big cat group. We were the Panthers, so we called it Big Cat. To me, this is a form of scripting when you've already made the call. Like first and P is the first play of a drive. The P stands for possession, first of possession. And it may not be the same. That's when I love to come out in my crazy sets, my crazy formations, my unbalanced stuff, the polecat, if you will, kind of stuff. Empty, unbalanced, end over. I love to start drives that way. And that's what you would have in this first and P column, or I would have it. Then you got your first and 10 calls. How many you have, that's up to you. Again, this is just a sample. Then go through all the different scenarios. You got a fourth and short. You got your 2-minute stuff. 2-minute, like your hurry up offense, things that you want to run. You don't need to have a ton of them, like your best pass plays, probably out of afros. And maybe your best screen or draw will be in this 2-minute drill column. So when you get to that 2-minute drill, end of the half, end of the game kind of stuff, your hurry up, no huddle stuff. And you'd have that right here in this column. Now, 4-minute is when you're trying to kill the clock. They call that a 4-minute offense. Why, I'm not sure. I guess they go into it with 4 minutes. But they've always called it that back since I was a kid. And you got the plays you're going to run in your 4-minute offense. No passes. And just what you want to do here, so you can kind of live right there in that column right here. And then over here, I got my plays for dudes. And sometimes this will be even bigger, and it's been different concepts. Guys, like you got your best player is your Z. You want to have jet on there. That's who I jet with, the Z. You want to have fast screen on there, and maybe like a downfield pass, like a 3 to 5 step drop pass that's designed for that dude. He's your dude. If you're got a good running back, you want to have that, because you want to make sure those guys are getting touches. I always like carrying. I had to do this every week. If I was on the sideline, I had a blue Sharpie and stuff like this. I would mark it. Like when I'd call that jet to my dude, put a dot there. So I can go back in halftime and go like, man, I ain't getting my dude's ball enough. I got to get, think players now, not plays. Think athletes. And it's stuff I've talked to you about before, but just a little different format here. By the way, when I was in the press box, which to me is the best place to call plays, it floors me. These guys that are so good and so smart, like your Sarkisians, your Lane Kiffins, that can call a game the way they call a game from the sideline is mind-boggling. They must have some great eyes up in the box for them, guys that they trust. But when I was the OC, I loved being in the box. And I would have one of these call sheets laminated, of course, because you never know where you're going to be or where you're going to, the weather and all that. But I also always had one that was not laminated when I was in the box. And I could write on it. And I could write on the sides and the margins. I could put my marks on it. Am I getting my dudes the ball? All this stuff makes, it matters. Over here is reminders to me. This was from a school I was at a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, before I came back home to Lynette. Jamal was one of our DBs. He was a great athlete. We decided to start getting him some touches on offense, and that was a reminder to get him in the game at Z. Kermit D. Frog is what we called our no play. Reminded me about that. I highlighted it in green so it would pop out to me because I wasn't using it enough. because you get into a flow. A reminder to run the damn zone, coach, right here, to throw our quicks. Keep running those smokes to the boundary, those fast screens out to your number ones to the boundary. Use Maverick. Put that H in motion, especially when you're not in a hurry. Use your motions. These are just notes to me. On the side of that front, we have a column with all our 2-point conversions, our one-word tempo calls, which aren't that many, that we would use like after a big play, if we wanted to go up tempo, and I just have the call right here, and I'd have whatever word that we were calling it and the play. So let's say the play was power right, and the call was Pittsburgh. We'd get a 30-yard gain on jet. I'd be on the sideline yelling, Pittsburgh, 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 and the quarterback's yelling Pittsburgh, and that's what we do. And we've talked about that. You got to take a shot play. There's only 3 columns, 3 lines here because you ain't got that many take a shot plays. Come on now. Hey, this would be a good time to take a shot. Look at that part of the call sheet. Boom, it's already there for you. Specials, things you add, like you decide, hey, I want to do a lot of empty end over this week. You'd have that on here for your special. And things like that, or an add-on to a play, a tag, or maybe a trick play you feel like will work against that team. That's where that will go. All right, this is the whole front of it right here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time just so you see what it looks like. Everything I just showed you blowed up. This is it overall, the whole thing. That's the front side of the call sheet. All right, on the back of the call sheet, scripts. This is what I'm talking about. Call the game. I just used to have the scripts. I've read Bill Walsh and all that, and I've read articles by coaches and, 10, 12, 15 plays. No, man, not me. I mean, I ain't saying that's bad. It just didn't work for me. I would do a series. And the other thing I do about scripts now, y'all, I do them left hash, right hash. You just can't say my second play is going to be this, especially if you're like me and you like running screens and running jet, because the hash mark matters. I love to run buck into the boundary and jet to the field. And that's why I did that. And we do 5 plays. Now, I've just gone right back and just started over on the same script or roll over to the next script. And I've got it coded. And this isn't for hurry up. This is just because here's the thing. When can you better call the game? In the heat of the moment, or when you're chill sitting at your office desk or sitting at the house like me on the front porch or the back porch? You stay on script as long as you stay ahead of the sticks. So you play the game in your head. That's what I call it. So we run buck right, and if we gain 4 yards, we'd come back and go to play 2. Faking buck right, throw the screen left. And over here is our offensive line calls, because we would make separate calls. Tell the skill guys the play, tell the line the blocking scheme. And this year, the way we did it was with signals. So we would go orange and give the stretch signal. Orange meant to the right, black meant to the left. Okay. And again, this is just a sample. I'm giving you some real things, but this stuff is convoluted on here. And this blue right here, that told me that I had to have my afros in my cheetahs. At this school, we called them cheetahs. Okay. You said, well, you got cheetah up here too, coach. But yeah, I know I got to get an H in the game for the buck. So that's why that's in red. So we'll start this script with an H in the game, and then we'll go to the cheetahs, the 2x2 stuff. All right, and down here at the bottom, we called it our heritage set, because the school was heritage, and it meant the H was in the game. And so heritage H made sense. And this was a script for that. Now, this was at the bottom of the back of the call sheet. It's got the first 5 plays. It's on there again. It's on the other side too. I didn't put the OL call in here for this. I had a special package. One of the games I found on my computer, we had a big kid that we put in at tight end, and we had our H in the game, and the H's name was Jack, and this big kid, he was a defensive lineman, played a little guard too, but we put him in at tight end this week and on a few of the games, and we run power stuff like zone and power. We run Kermit the Frog, because it'd be short yardage, and we'd yell for this package to go in and run one of these plays. And we run all those guys in there. And of course, right here, it tells you the kid I wanted to fake jet on Kermit. Okay. And the reason we called it Kermit the Frog is because Kermit's the frog. He jumps. And we wanted the defense to jump. So we could call Frog, Kermit, or Green. That way we didn't call it the same way every time. Of course, over here you got your 2-point conversion chart. Don't ever go into a game without that. And then down here at the bottom left, you've got the when can I start taking a knee? So let's go get on the bus, Gus, and get the heck out of here thing. Okay? That's what this is. All right. That's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. I didn't think it would go this long. I'm sorry. I'm going to edit it some. But don't forget the JET manuals out there, the OL manuals out there, and you can still get your free sample practice schedule and also now the free call sheet. And all you got to do is be a subscriber. And just hit me up at siegel.chip and get yours today. Offensive line manual, JET manual. You want to go deep into it. When you buy it, I'm here for you. You want to dive deeper into this stuff. I just did another one this week with a guy way away from here. And I'm going to do another one next week and the next week. It's in another country where they start football a little bit different time than we do. That's why they're doing that kind of stuff now. All right, so if you want me to Zoom with you, I can. Consult with you, I can. Install with you, and I know the installs have gone the way of the dodo bird until next year because football has started. Don't forget, chance to support the podcast and the videos with buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Here's our list of free resources. The sample call sheet is not on here, but it's still available. All you got to do is hit me up. Okay? Until next time, y'all, be elite.